What's Queen Afua?
Yeah, I'm gonna listen
You're
to
reading
that
a
later.
book. All right, we are on, and I'm working.
And
Copy.
seems like that's just how it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that are going on, but we're still going to move through, and I'm going to get us started by saying I am Sharon or Zare,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here taking this journey along with Craig or Imar, and we are the creators of Taking the Journey Together, although Imar was the creator of Taking the Journey. Now we're doing it together.
Yes.
And it's what a journey it has been,
Oh
and what a
man,
journey it
still
is
is.
every single day. It's a different aspect of that same journey. And some days you love, some days you don't, but all in all, it makes up the whole picture. Um, our motto is we are going to relate. It doesn't matter what anybody says, we're going to relate. But at Taking the Journey Together, we like to instill in people the idea of relating in a balanced way. And when we talk about a balanced way, we mean throwing out the old ideology of I can be with my friend or I can be with my lover, but I cannot marry my friend or I cannot marry my lover. And what we like to get people to realize is that what you need is to balance it out by being with and marrying your friend and your lover. And when I say being with, that could mean a long term relationship or whatever, but it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
your friend and your lover.
You notice we're not as cozy as we were the last time because we weren't having a good internet connection,
No,
and
not
we
at
had to go
all.
from our phone. And when he went from my phone, that little flip phone thing I had that opens up, we were much more cozier. I was laying back,
I
you was
liked
laying
it.
back. I had a drink over there. Man, I really like that. Now
I
we're
did
back to the
too.
more
It's like
professional
our Cialis
Cialis
moment.
moment. Well, how it may
Yes.
be, we're probably rearrange the studio sometime so we can make it a little bit more cozier
Yes.
than it is right
Yes.
now. Yeah.
Get a different type of seating in here, maybe.
Yeah, maybe some big cushy seats where you can
Yes.
sit right in those
Or
cushy seats
or
and
or
yeah.
one single seat that we can sit on
Oh,
together. And because
and
like now
you,
we've got the arms of the
you,
chairs between
you
us.
remember the cars that used to have bucket seats in the front
Yes,
where you could sit close to each other? Oh
exactly.
man, they don't do bucket seats no more.
No,
I think only trucks. Do trucks have bucket seats? Pickup
I
trucks?
I can begin to tell you,
I haven't seen one.
I'm not a pickup truck kind of girl.
Yeah, I'm much wondering if they do because remember pickup trucks you could do that, and then there was the Chevys. I remember the Chevys could do that, and some of the Fords. You had that big old couch seat in the front. There's a couch seat. I wonder what that was.
Whatever.
And used to when you went to the movies, especially when you went to the drive-in movies. Oh, it's
Yes.
always nice going to drive-in movies because you can make the guy come and get close to you at the same time. Never paid attention to the movie whatsoever.
but they always had that big hump in the middle.
Yeah, that was there. That had to be there because it had to go over the drive shaft
Yeah,
because it was things were rear wheel driven instead of now it's front wheel.
yeah. The thing is, when nobody has any money and it takes like seven people
Mm-hmm.
it took like seven people to put together a dime, a nickel, and a quarter to get some gas in the car to go
Mm-hmm.
wherever.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the one that had to sit up front in the middle because I had short legs. And so I could
Ah.
sit over that hump in the front,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't be that uncomfortable.
Well, folks, make sure at the same time while you're hearing her talking about the humpity humps in the car, do the Humpty Hump.
Yeah.
Share. Go ahead and share with your friends, share with your partners, share with your lovers, and share with your enemies. I should say
Exactly.
that we're on the air and we have some good stuff that we're still
And I've
talking
I've
about.
got another share.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Actually, I've got two.
Two.
Share with your parents and share
Okay.
with your children.
There you go. That one day they will be relating. Of course, right now those young folks got their
Yes.
wifeys and their husbands
I
already.
I
So,
have not heard them use those terms recently.
oh well, you cut them off in your class, didn't you? Like, ah,
No,
you ain't married. Don't even
no,
try it.
I didn't.
Hmm.
But I don't know what the terms are they use
Hmm.
anymore. A lot of their terms are so indignant that I don't even know how to get into them. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just share it because the thing of it is,
Hmm.
if I knew when I was much younger
Hmm.
what
You know now.
what I am learning through this experience with taking the journey together,
Uh huh.
I would have been much more prepared for a
I'll move your
relationship.
mic up a little bit to your very beautiful lips.
Thank
There we
you.
go. Now we can
For
hear you better.
the first one, and
Hmm.
it would not have had such an effect on me
Hmm.
coming into this one
Yeah.
because I would have been much more prepared.
They talked about how the imprinting of your relatives, your ancestors, whether it's the first generation still alive being grandparents,
Hmm.
or your aunts and uncles, or great great and further down their aunts and uncles, how their characteristics move through what they call your DNA. I think sometimes what they really mean, which I have no professionalism, is I think the actions and attitudes, tone of voice, and how people carry themselves around individual family members gets imprinted in their minds or memory,
Right.
and then they begin to act that way because they feel comfortable with how that person
Hmm.
is acting and feels like they're
Yes.
connected with them. The uncle felt on the aunt felt connected to them,
Right.
and so they just pass or mimic, if you may want to
Hmm.
say, the attitudes, the actions, the tone of voice, the body language that my uncle did, and they pass it on to the next generation. Which is why I hear many times, man, you sound like your uncle,
Yeah.
or you sound like your aunt, or
Yes.
you look like you even walk like them. I think that's a
Exactly.
lot to do with that. A better way or another way to explain that DNA memory that passes on from generation to
Hmm.
generation.
Yeah. But that's also the reason why I say if I knew then what I know now, I would have known that I didn't have to settle
Mm-hmm.
for the relationships that I got into.
True.
I would have been more prepared to say, no, this is not the right relationship. Okay, I tried this one, but I'm not going to do it anymore. Before it gets to that point where you're
Mm-hmm.
in it for what seems like a lifetime
Mm-hmm.
that is not really
Well, say hello to
beneficial to you.
hello, Mr. Mike Kelly. How you doing,
How are
Kelly?
you?
Yeah, I'm good to see him.
Glad you're still with
Yeah,
us.
exactly, exactly. We'll be looking forward, hope to him and his girlfriend, or his wife, to come out to our
Date night.
date night that we're setting up to do in Pooler, and we'll be
Yes.
looking forward to it. Definitely trying to work things out so we can make that happen.
March
Um,
31st. So keep your calendars clear.
exactly.
March 31st.
I can't let you get away with something. And what you just got to saying a few minutes ago, are you saying you wish you would have thought about things before you got into this relationship? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is my first
Oh,
relationship
look how serious
and
you
the
are in your
and the
face.
and the relationships leading up to that.
Uh huh.
If I had been privy or had been given some of that information that I'm getting from
Mm-hmm.
taking the journey together,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been more prepared to be more discerning as
Yes.
to what was good for me, what
Mm-hmm.
I needed, who I was,
Mm-hmm.
so that I wouldn't go down the road of unsuccessful relationships.
And also the last one, very important. in if I'm prepared and ready to connect with someone else to become
Exactly.
a us. Because taking the
Exactly.
journey is all about trying to move
Yes.
at that level, the expansion where you are more looking at being us,
Mhm.
not two individual. I'm gonna say two, not ass. I'm gonna just another word real quickly.
Well,
Sometimes
sometimes
you can
that's the
be that
case.
way. Some folks say that about me too. But anyway, that you're becoming an us,
Yes.
together as us and moving forward. We have someone else that's up to at the same time. We haven't seen them for a while.
Mr. Ellis is tuning in.
Yeah, we definitely want to hopefully see them in March.
Oh
When
gosh,
girlfriends
Mr.
are.
Kelly, you live in Memphis.
Oh well, he will not be
Wow.
able to go there. That's a city that we just not too long ago came from.
No, we
Memphis.
didn't.
Oh no, was it? No, Memphis just had a bad rap. That's the place where that young African American was beat up by the police.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow,
Yes.
that's really
Yes.
too bad. The good people up there, if there is, and one of them we know is you, Mr. Kelly. You guys need to call and make sure to tell those folks up there, especially if you have those rogue police officers, tell those good officers, make sure that you go forth and say, hey, we believe in good relationships. We believe in positive relationships. We
Yes.
believe in balanced relationships. They did not. And we are the ones that are the real representation of wanting to, in this particular case, present and serve
Mhm.
the peace. Remember, we used to
Yes.
call police officers peace officers,
Yes.
and they were supposed to be
Yes.
about what? Preserving the
Preserving the
peace.
peace.
Okay,
Yes.
definitely. They weren't trying to escalate war,
Mhm.
not escalate funding. They were there trying to preserve
Yes.
peace. And if there was no peace there, they're going to make sure they bring that there and make it
Exactly.
come to pass.
De-escalate
De-escalate, exactly.
situations. But
So,
even living in Memphis, you can always plan to plan a vacation and come down to the Savannah area
mhm.
and join us for one of our date nights. And so it'll be more than a date night; it'll be a
Well,
date trip.
he wants to make sure, since it's for a couple, he brings his wife. You forgot
Well,
about
that's why
that.
I said plan.
Yeah. Well, planning would be with his
Yeah,
wife,
absolutely.
his girlfriend, or some people might bring the mom. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, we don't want to do that, but not yet.
Bring the mom as a chaperone.
As a chaperone,
So,
sure.
so have you told a vision? A
Yeah, I
mission
did.
statement?
I did.
You did. You must have said it so fast I didn't even hear it.
No,
Oh wow.
I said it while you were putting
Oh
things while
yes,
you
I
were
was
working.
working again.
Yes.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And that was before we led into some of the other things that we are
Okay.
are
So
talking
let me
about.
put up for those who are new, for the first time seeing Taking the Journey, of course, I am Imar, and this is over there, my beautiful wife and friend and partner, and sometimes fighters. Sharon and
Yes,
I
we are
are
frenemies
frenemies. I love
sometimes.
that. That's a good word. I love that. Of course, she has her nickname or spiritual name, which is alright too.
Yes.
We're going to be talking our fifth and last.
Yes.
Yes, our fifth and last talk on exchanging energy in the area of sexuality.
Yes.
So for some of us, 5 times is probably more than what we get in a month, if not a week. Well, if you got, oh, that's good.
Now, if it's in
Once
a
a day.
day,
Anyway,
oh,
and you're not kidding me. So we're talking about
if it's in a day, you
exchanging.
need to expand your relationship.
Exactly, exactly. I'm not going to work there. Anyway, you need to exchange. In this case, learning more about exchanging your energy. We're really talking about life force.
Yes.
Your life force, and this is just that specific area of life force that has to do with the sensuality or the sexual part. And again, going back over for those who have listened to it, we're not necessarily talking about the physical aspect,
Right.
the plumbing, in so many words. We're also talking about the area that has to do with the energy that comes from within your very being,
Mm-hmm.
that is how can I say it, comes about in that sensual act. Some people call it that orgasmic energy. I know we kind of
Yes.
talked about it because it
Yes.
is. Some people who practice things like what is it, tantra? What was the
Tantra.
other one?
Tile.
Teo, one of the two.
Yes.
So they look at that energy itself
Mm-hmm.
and say how it's created and can be
Yes.
created
Yes.
between the two, or sometimes that energy we talked about is created before. You got
Right.
that urge is real strong, and
Mhm.
you're like, what are you going to do about it, or can I do about it, or things like that. I'm not going to go into
Exactly.
detail because we talked about it before. So we're talking about being able to have influence and control of that energy and be able to utilize it for something positive. And now we're on that area of how to use that energy. We call it transmuting
Transmuting.
or
Yes.
transmutation. And
Yes.
what was transmutation all about when it comes to that energy?
Transmutation is about taking that energy and moving it into something else,
Mm-hmm.
where you move it, you change it into creative energy, you change it into the energy um, of improving your well-being,
Mm-hmm.
to just do something
Increasing
that
your
is,
energy.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, and just doing something that is more beneficial at that particular time,
yeah,
even if that means increasing the opportunity for you to get in touch with yourself spiritually.
exactly. Transmutation, of course, is another kind of word they use in the science world that basically says energy can never
Yeah.
be created or destroyed. It just exists.
Mm-hmm.
It exists either in a static state or it exists in a moving state
Yes.
from that end. And so we're talking about the same kind of energy that we
Mm-hmm.
create as beings, but we're talking about in, of course, that strong pleasurable area, which is the sexual area itself. So in this particular case, to know that you could take that same energy and move it in other parts of your life is important. And I think we talked about giving an example where the rubber meets the road. We
Yeah.
talked about when I was doing boxing, Golden Glove boxing, was in the boys' clubs, and I told you about my story about how the coaches would tell us, "Don't you do nothing with your girlfriends
Yeah. Yeah.
um, before the boxing match." And
Deplete your energy.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
they said something like that, and I would always like, yeah, whatever. Some of us young guys,
Mhm.
we hard headed and
So,
stuff like that.
so you got your head beat
Nah.
in.
Well, not necessarily because it never happened to me that
No, no,
way.
no, not you, but I'm
Mm.
just saying that they were
Ye-
hard-headed until they found out the
Yeah, the
hard way.
hard knocks of life does have a way to
Yes.
do that with people, no doubt about it. Or
Yes.
was very, very stubborn, whether it's man or woman. Yet the point I'm trying to make is
Yes.
that it when you didn't pay attention to it and you went ahead anyway, the next day or even day after you were in a tournament at the box, you hardly had no energy. You couldn't really concentrate and move your body to be exerted, meaning move when you wanted to move, hit when you wanted to move. It was a lot slower. You feel a lot more sluggish. It was because of the fact that energy that was in you was
Mm-hmm.
really depleted
Yeah.
in that sexual act. So it's one of those things that, clearly give an example how that energy is very real,
Mm-hmm.
and how in turn it could be depleted from you in that particular act, and you're not
Yes.
going to be able to work out well. And
Right.
so taking that same energy and using it in such a way where you can basically improve your life, increase your energy in this particular case, is another form that we have to take a look at. And we're definitely going to take about imbalanced relationships,
Mm-hmm.
or in this case thriving relationships. And one of the things we were talking about in that matter is how that there's diets.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about some of the different things in foods and activities that we can do to, I won't say exhaust it, but I would say embrace that energy,
Mm-hmm.
that urge that happens. And now we're not going to talk about masturbation in this one. Sorry, folks, because we're moving away from the actual physical plumbing
Right.
portion. We're
Right.
talking about another way of being able to handle that energy from that. So what's diets? Let's talk about diets a little bit when it comes to this.
It deals with eating fresh fruits and vegetables, drinking water, clear water, pure water.
Mm-hmm.
Water is one of those things that is so good and beneficial to us
Mm-hmm.
that we really underestimate the power and the value in the water.
But what we're made of almost 70% water.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we
Yes.
made up a lot of percentage of
Hmm.
water.
Yes, and so that always has to be replenished, because what we take in, it also goes out. So it's a
Mhm.
constant cycle of revitalizing and replenishing, and you really need to drink a certain amount of your body weight on a
Mhm.
daily basis, because that will keep your system flushed and clear. And the more water you drink, the more grounding that you have. But that's another
Well,
topic. I'm
yeah,
kind
that
of.
that 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 leads into what I was getting ready to say,
Mhm.
because I was in the military, the Air Force, and all that good stuff, and I did a lot of electronic work. Still do electronic work now, and computers and all this stuff before they even were called computers, by the way. We also find out that water is one of the best kind of conduit
Conduits. Uh-huh.
for electrical energy. And
Yeah.
we look at electrical energy as being a manifestation of energy in its
Mm-hmm.
force and how it's, how can I say it, can be felt light. Of course, our electrical machines that we use, that
Yes.
manifestation from that way, we kind of know more, but and we know a lot about since the light bulb and all that good stuff. On that particular note, since it is one of the best conduit, those who have ever had to experience it, like I have, shocked more than once when I was doing electrical work with my uncle when I was younger, never did like it. We understand the power of water
Mm-hmm.
in its ability to allow electrons or electricity or that energy to run through it. Why am I talking about that? If your body is full of mostly water itself, then you can understand what we're talking about, your life force, which is basically your energy being, if you're so
Right.
many words
Right.
of you may want to say, like goes to the machine, however you may want to, believe or say it. Then your life force, your energy itself, the one that the EKG machine and all of them can
Mm-hmm.
see and actually track and put patterns on it and all that good stuff. That gives you a good understanding why your body, with all that water, is the perfect conduit for you as a energy person, an energy
Exactly.
being. Yeah, think about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think about that from that end. So it's a good thing to create a kind of set up in such a way that our being is made up mostly of water, because that's the best kind of conduit that you can use for your energy to be able to flow
Right.
through. Yeah.
Right.
I just something just came popped in my mind. So
Yeah.
fruits and vegetables help us out in that particular
Mm-hmm.
area. Keep that water pure. Of course, we know when you do the vegetables and the fruit, especially, you have the right kind of sugars.
Mm-hmm.
We know that our brain only operates off of what? I stumped her all of a sudden.
Sugar.
Yeah. Why she had a hard time just saying it like you didn't know?
I don't know.
I know. What was that all
I
about?
have no idea what
Okay.
that was
Was that a
about.
brain
No.
fart or something?
Okay. Actually, I think it had something to do with when you were talking about fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I kept saying fresh ones are better. Fresh ones are
Yes.
better.
Mhm.
One of the things, and so I apologize. Go on
No,
with
no,
what
no,
you were
no, no,
saying,
no.
and
Go
then I'll
ahead.
say
Go ahead.
this.
I'm
Okay.
interested to hear what you just said. What do you
Because
want to say?
one of the things that we think about is,
Mm-hmm.
well, we don't think about it, but things were better. Our vegetables and fruits and things like that were more beneficial to us health wise
Mm-hmm.
before we had these large, humongous refrigerators.
Mm-hmm.
At the time when we had smaller refrigerators that didn't hold as much, and we had to go to the grocery store almost
Mm-hmm.
every day to pick up fresh fruits and vegetables, the longer that these fruits and vegetables stay in your refrigerator, especially vegetables, the more they lose their nutritional value.
Exactly. Hey, someone's got something. Bernard White said, I'm sorry.
No,
I
go
just
ahead.
cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're
'Cause, I
fine.
mean,
No, I was
no, but
really.
that's, I mean, again, you're on that area of raw food.
Mm-hmm,
And there are those who talk about raw food, especially vegetables. And when we
mm-hmm.
go on our water a diet for 9 days and
Yes,
we
the
do
fast.
fast, we do water and fruits, it does give you a
Yes.
very light, almost like a natural high feeling,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you feel more energy flowing through you, especially your brain. You don't feel sluggish. You don't feel what is that called? Foggy brain is what they talk about.
Exactly.
And ideas easily pop up. And I
Right.
don't mean drama ideas that are
No, no.
crazy. I'm talking
It's
about good, fresh ideas.
Yes,
Just
creative
thank
ideas,
you. That's the word.
conversations. You have a
Mm-hmm.
sense of
Mm-hmm.
thinking on a deeper level.
Exactly.
When people say, "Oh, that was deep," well, what do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
What they should be meaning is
Mm-hmm.
that you are thinking not just what everybody else has thought,
Mm-hmm.
but you're looking at the finite message within it, or
Seeing what's behind it,
the
and so
tiny
on.
lesson that's in
Yeah,
it.
seeing what's behind it.
Yes,
So, or
exactly.
sometimes we come up with good creative ideas to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um,
Yeah.
um, and we try to do that once or twice a month.
Yes.
Not religiously, folks, but we try to do that
Yeah.
because just
At least,
because of what it does.
yeah. At
For
least
it's like
every couple of
it's like a
months.
detox.
It
It's like a
is.
body brain
Yes.
a detox. Again, it's for 9 days. We'll probably talk about more in detail the kind of food that you can eat,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of food that you don't eat. Definitely, water is at the centralized point.
Yes.
So is electrolytes, which are important. But yeah, we ought to talk about that sometime later
Yes,
on,
yes, I think that's
and
important.
present that to people because that's a
Mm-hmm.
good element to add into your
Right,
relationship.
right.
From that. Okay, so what Bernard White said something. What did Bernard say? Sure, I see you got
I
up on the screen.
feel my energy leave my body during sex with certain women, not all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I have rarely felt the energy of another woman transferred to me during sex, probably 3 to 4 times ever. I think you really have to be into your sexual partner to really experience this occurrence.
And I mean, some of what he says is correct because again, we're talking about just like any electrical energy. Just as I would just got to explain that when it comes to the electronic side or the
Mm-hmm.
electrical side, which is both the side that I've been involved with and still am right now.
Yes.
Um, that has to do with the ebb and flow.
Mm-hmm.
Electricity, for it to move, it has to flow. It has to
Yes.
have a conduit so
Mm-hmm.
that it can start flowing. Otherwise, it stays in a static stage.
Yes.
I mean, I have to admit, not for you, my brother. I'm not saying for you, but some of us are in static relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're in static, boring relationships. So there's not much energy moving even in us.
Right.
Let alone, I'm not saying with you, my brother, that in turn moves over to someone else, or vice versa on
Mm-hmm.
the other
Mm-hmm.
side. From then, you might be in what they call a codependent relationship, where all you're doing is passing energy, and they're not getting anything, or they're blocking it, or all you're doing is getting energy because you're really not having anything to give from that end.
Right.
So the important thing is to understand that energy itself has to have an ebb and flow for it to move and for it to
Mm-hmm.
go. And when it does, the elements of how it moves from what you call the electronic level, as they
Yes.
would call it, um, it doesn't actually move. It's called current to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
That's how electricity is
Right.
measured. The current of atoms don't actually move. It's actually the energy between the two
Mm-hmm.
that actually is shared.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I know it's taught different, but the finding is it's the energy, the magnetic energy that's created between those molecules in there that actually do the movement. So our energy itself, I mean, actually is moving. I mean, think about it. Our bodies, not as of yet, don't do a metamorphosis where we in turn merge into one another and we get up like the thing and we're two people in one. Oh my God, what happened? Shoot it. No, it's actually our energy that's being
Mm-hmm.
transferred or
Yeah.
hopefully transferred. So you're correct, Bernard. If your relationship, you're not very open to that
Mm-hmm.
person, or that person not very open to you, it could be a one side affair from that end. And I'm stopped because I
Yeah.
want to say something too. We know that, and at least I have talked and have dated before in my life with some women who are in the oldest business in the world, and they talk about how they have no emotional feelings with their Johns.
Mm-hmm.
And the Johns, by the way, are tricks, however you may want to call it. Tricks are not for kids, by the way. They, they are those guys that were going out paying for sexual encounters so that their energy they think is being exchanged because that's how good that they make them feel that's going to happen. The only thing exchanged is money out of your pocket. That's about it.
Thank you, Professor.
Exactly. Because many of those, the women who are involved, the ones that I know I talked to, some did have no energy exchange. They ain't trying to exchange no kind of energy at all.
Yeah.
It's the guy that feels that, and their job is to make him feel like
Yeah.
I'm really giving this energy back to him.
Yeah.
No, I ain't doing that.
And that was one of the things that came to me, and as you were
Mm-hmm.
making your statement some time back,
Mm-hmm.
is in some situations, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
um, you, one of you may be having sex for sex sake.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're really into it, but I want to make you happy.
Yeah.
Either he wants to make her happy, she wants to make him happy,
Mm-hmm.
and one, and if you're not at the same level of ready to enjoy or engage,
Mm-hmm.
then the energy that transferred is going to be different. It's not necessarily going to be even
Yeah.
and or balanced.
That's when you get into things that have to do with what. Are there any foreplay going on?
Yes.
Are there any affection being done?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any
It's the mood being set.
mood being set? I mean, I was giving
Yes.
some details have to do with that. Are you
Exactly.
doing sexting? I mean, are you doing anything to develop, as you
Mhm.
said, that environment energy.
Or you set an appointment.
Well, sometimes, us guys are like, boy, I don't care if it was a piece of bread over there. She looked
Oh
good. She looked
gosh.
good. But no, I don't do that with bread, by the way, folks. Anyway, but and some of you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. So it's
Ooh,
usually the
keeping it
yeah,
real.
exactly. So it usually takes a woman a little bit longer
Yes,
to get her in that mood,
exactly.
to move her into that place.
And
I
to
mean,
have that
you can't be cussing her out for mad it can be, and then say, "Hey, baby, come on, let's go get this thing happening."
yeah,
Really?
and women
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, especially based on their past
Mm-hmm.
experiences, um the need to be coerced or
Mm-hmm.
and when I say coerced, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean as far as setting the mood, building it up,
Mm-hmm.
and taking that extra time is necessary for her to gear up to have that energy transfer that is equal to yours.
Exactly, exactly. So I would say sometimes on that particular end, I'll be like Bernie Mac was saying in some of those cases. I got mine,
Hope you got yours.
fruits and vegetables first. Well, we talked about the fruits and vegetables. We talked about how they're also too grapes are good for
Hmm.
devotion. Wine,
Yeah.
of course, is good from that particular.
Hmm.
Wine is a good stimulant, but it's also good for the heart. Remember, we talked. I know you
Yes.
heard that
Yes.
before. And then we talked about the added juices and things like that. Spicy food helps out.
Yes.
Some cultures use spicy food to build up sexual energy, because
Spiciness.
spicy does that, and it
Yes.
stimulates your physical energy itself. And I think sometimes we don't even look at food as being a way,
Yes.
to I know one time as brothers, and we're going to move on too because we're going to do a commercial. Some of us were able to use McDonald's. I'm telling on this, but we
McDonald's?
use McDonald's sometime to help us out. When we were young and have no money, so I
Mhm.
took my girl out to McDonald's, and she
Okay.
enjoyed the. Oh, hey, she wasn't like you,
Gotcha.
high and fancy, but
I
anyway,
was
I took her out to McDonald's, and that made her feel comfortable enough, and we had a good time that night. I just put it like that.
okay.
That is.
But
I paid too, by the way. Yeah, I paid.
but here's something
What?
that
They were 50 cents. You remember McDonald's hamburgers? Okay,
I
I'm
did
telling on
not I
myself.
did not do a lot of fast food when I was growing up.
Well, where were you at? In the middle of the country down south?
No,
They
I
had no
wasn't.
McDonald's out there.
I wasn't.
Pull things by a mule, food and stuff.
No, I had good food at home.
Oh, really? Backyard, you pick your own
I
greens.
did. Actually, my grandfather did.
Oh, okay.
I won't say that. I won't go into detail about
Okay.
that. But yes, he did.
Okay.
But you're a salad eater.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
Radishes stimulates the sex nerves.
Well, I love radishes too. I could
Uh,
eat them like they're apples.
It,
I
it,
sure can. I don't know
yeah,
where that came from, but I really like radishes a lot.
yes,
You
yeah, I
notice that,
know.
don't you?
That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It
I
says something.
That's something new that I did not know, but I'm glad to
Hmm.
know that now.
So now you
And
know.
no, we will be sharing radishes on a regular basis.
There's garlic too. I mean, people love garlic too.
Uh,
Bread, their breath's not good at garlic, but anyway.
yeah.
So let's go to a commercial real quick, and we'll
Okay.
come back, folks. So stay tuned. We are going to go to a commercial. We'll be back. now we're back. Hey, I'm the one who's operating,
But you
and
know
our
what?
engineer's not
That
here.
is live.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, why don't you talk about here below while I take this off? One of our commercials. Where's this at? That's down
Okay.
below.
This weekend, we will be on River Street with our pre-St. Patrick
I
Day
wonder why he's doing that.
festival.
Yeah, it is. I wonder why he's
And
doing
it is Friday, Saturday, and
Mhm.
Sunday. It starts Friday, tomorrow at 11 a.m. and it goes
First day.
until exactly, and it goes until 10 p.m.
Mhm.
Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And come on out and have some fun and enjoy the vendors and the bull and the music and everything that's out there.
Mhm.
And it's just a good time, and it's a way to kind of kick off spring almost
Exactly.
and be prepared.
Say,
Get in the mood
the
for
pre
St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's Day. I
Day.
think that's what
Yeah,
it's
that's
all
what I
about.
said. Be the
Yeah.
pre St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, let's go to our other one. What's that? Our usual Taking the Journey site.
Yes.
Facebook.
Taking the Journey
Together site.
Yes, Facebook
Mhm.
is www.facebook.com
Mhm.
/TTJ Together. Instagram, we also have that. The website is takingthejourney-together.com. The email is ttjt@takingthejourney-together.com.
What's this one?
Oh, this is WRUU. That's our
Yes.
Saturday morning
Saturday morning.
Taking the Journey Together show.
Coffee in your hand. Sit back, relax with someone you
Yes.
love. Have her sit on your lap, or maybe you
Exchange
sit on
some
her lap.
energy.
Anyway, you can
Uh-huh.
exchange energy there, nice and
Yes.
calm and relaxed on those
Exactly.
Saturday mornings. Get me get some halfway decent. If Savannah gives it to us, halfway decent fall-like weather. Remember, or spring-like weather, I should say.
Spring. I'm ready for spring.
You
We've had enough
just hope they
fall
don't
and
bounce
winter.
right into summer. So Saturday mornings would be nice like that. Before you
Yes.
do your honeydew, you can sit down and relax, listen to our program, have some
9
coffee,
o'clock.
some tea, have a mimosa if maybe.
Yes.
Anyway, and get ready for your day.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And don't forget to be hot
What is
in
about
your relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we've got to remember what hot means. We still have some hot buttons for some
Mhm.
people if they're ready for them and need them and
Mhm.
know that they are in a hot relationship or striving to be in a hot relationship. Hot meaning honest, open,
Open and
and
transparent.
transparent.
You know, we're going to do a workshop, a weekend workshop, 2-day workshop, someplace at either a hotel or at a church or some area meeting room. In
Mhm.
fact, some of you guys can help us if you know of a place, you know of a church, good motel, whatever you may want to talk about. We know someone we're working with who wants to us to do this on a cruise where we're going to basically go into detail on that hot principle.
Yes.
There's a lot more behind it on that hot principle. It sounds catchy, no doubt about it, because it is. It sounds very prolific and inspirational when you hear it, but there's a lot to it. I mean, it looks like a good, pretty building, but there's that structure of the plumbing, the wiring, the walls,
The decoration of the rooms inside. Yes.
There's a lot of structure that's behind
Mhm.
it for you to practice.
Yes.
Because that's what it is.
Yes.
It's a thing that you have to practice. Life doesn't necessarily now, and especially this culture, presents you to be that way. In fact, life right now really presents in such a way as if you could do everything else but that, you got to be a bad sucker.
Yes. And you will go far.
Exactly.
But that doesn't
Ain't
necessarily,
gonna-
it's not going to work in a
in
relationship.
not a relationship because you're relating to
because-
somebody else.
Exactly.
In
And
the
whatever
24
is
hours.
done in the dark eventually comes to the
Well,
light. That's what I've always
sometimes it does,
been
but that's
told.
very true.
I know.
I'm not necessarily say that. Some people went to their deathbed and something was, in the dark with them. And maybe ancestor had to come out and put things. I think just like the Martin Luther King parade that we did the first time in
Yes.
2019 in Richmond Hill. I really felt all strongly that was the ancestors here
Yes.
who did so many things here that probably died in the rice plants in the cotton, not know what rice and indigo plants.
Mhm.
And how they had to sweat in those waters and walk in all of that, no seams and the rest of them.
Yes.
And I felt that they were calling out to us from the grave,
Let
the earth.
some,
We
let
want to
some
say
justice be done.
exactly, still are in
Yes,
certain ways.
I
Why we're still
agree.
here now.
Yes.
So I mean, there is that particular end,
Mhm.
but that's a kind of like a spiritual inspiration saying that when you look at that principle, what goes around and comes around, you look at that
Mhm.
principle. and that goes, as you just got through saying, it basically is not limited to time.
Right.
That's what I guess I'm saying. It's
Exactly.
like an internal
Exactly.
principle that's not limited to time
Yeah.
whatsoever from that end.
Very true.
Kind of remind me of the Rod Serling movies we used to love to watch. He would do those
Yes.
kind of what do you call it?
Full
Um,
circle.
well, full circle, integrity. What's the other words I
There
want to
there
use?
were morality
Morality ones.
based.
No one
Yes.
writes like that anymore.
No.
Really, they don't
No.
write like that anymore. Well, anyway, well, let's back to where we were before. We were going on to talk about vigorous exercising as a
Yes.
regular basis is very helpful.
And that is very, very good.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
It's
think
go
I
ahead.
think vigorous exercising is one of those things that we will exercise
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of losing weight and things like that, but we don't think about the fact that when we exercise, it kind of makes everything start, all the synapses start firing.
Where it moves the energy when you
Mm-hmm.
think it.
Yes.
In different places of the body and
Yes.
where it kind of like some people say it happens in this chakra
Yes.
area from there, so
But
it
there
moves to the different parts of the
exactly, because
body.
there are seven
Yeah.
chakras, and vigorous exercise stimulates all of them.
Again, it
Yes.
moves it away from that central
Yes.
area of the
Mm-hmm.
body to other bodies, other parts of your body. So
Yes.
there is not that strong
Yes.
concentration. Again, what we were talking about the first time, which has to do with transmutation, really is just moving energy from one state to another state,
Yes.
one place to another state,
Yes.
but the energy still
Mhm.
exists from that end. So,
But as you're doing that vigorous exercise, you
mhm.
also have to be aware of who you are, where you are, and what you are
Why you gonna run
capable
into a
of.
dog or something while you're out there
No, no, no,
running?
no. What I mean is where you are as far as the energy exertion,
Why
energy
you figure you're
transference.
gonna work out too hard and you
Some
fall
people
over?
do.
Oh, well, I guess even
Some
without that
people
energy,
do.
people would probably do that sometimes.
Well, that's
But
true.
that's true. True. There's
Yeah.
another example that you talked about in the area you brought up is you probably don't want to walk into too many of those what exercise places. Some of the stuff they don't have, oh, excuse me, they have on in the exercise places. You would think if that energy is being raising up during that time, you don't want to walk in there. It's not going to
No,
help you out too much.
no.
So you may want to try running, walking, working out,
Mm-hmm.
hiking,
Yes.
climbing, riding bikes, swimming, those kind of things that you don't necessarily have that other kind of stimulation that
Right.
you really are trying to move from alternatively in
Yes.
life. Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't pay attention to or don't connect
Mm-hmm.
is when you are working and you're,
Mm-hmm.
when you're working out, it doesn't have to be gym type of things.
Mm-hmm.
It can be uh, raking the yard,
Mm-hmm.
cutting the grass, different things like that. It can be rearranging the furniture in your house. That can be a workout also. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you can get creative with how you work out. People say, "Well, I can't work out because I can't afford a gym
Mm-hmm.
membership," but like there was a time it was just too cold for me to go walking outside, and so what I would do every morning is I had a little path around the house
Mm-hmm.
that I would do laps
Mm-hmm.
in order to get in a certain amount
I
of
saw the
steps.
trail.
I
When I first
know,
met you, I
I
saw the
know,
trail. You had
and
a little dog that followed you on that trail too. I remember that.
but
I
I
went to the back bedroom and came up to the front and
and
went to the
circled
office,
around.
went out to the patio. And I'm like, there's a trail in this house.
See, you're joking now because then I was walking outside. I was walking outside all the time, but that was here.
Uh-huh.
I did it in this house here.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I must have been asleep.
you were.
Okay.
I did it before work.
Well, I'm glad those boots were made for walking.
They were.
And walking you did do.
And
I'm
they
glad you didn't
walked
let those
all
boots
over.
and walked all over me.
No, they walked all over the house.
So
See
hopefully,
what I have to deal with.
hopefully your health is generally good. I only deal with you, baby. Only with you. You pull that good thing out of me. So hopefully your health is generally good. Okay,
Yes.
because of the activity
Yeah.
that happens, the service and
Mm-hmm.
creativity that's important
Yeah.
when you are moving that energy in the first place, because
Exactly.
it's the energy that when we usually move it, we think when it's over, whether we fall asleep or she falls asleep or both fall asleep, you're still feeling good. It's a good
Yes.
release of pressures of the day. We use that after we have that what fight and make up love, as they call.
Yes.
But out of all of that, generally, it's very good that energy is something that's good for you.
Yeah.
And of course, science talks about how the endorphins and stuff move through your body and bring that pleasure
Mhm.
principle that you're really looking for and you want out of life too at the same time.
And here's
Um, what's that?
here's another uh, type of vigorous exercise that I love that you can do anytime. You
Mm-hmm.
can do maybe 15 minutes here,
Mm-hmm.
25 minutes there, whatever. And you have any idea what that is?
No, I was sorry. I was looking at one of the chats. What is that?
Dancing.
Ah,
Dancing.
yeah. I feel like dancing, dancing. No, no. I'm thinking about doing the R. Kelly dance.
Oh, please no.
Step into the name of love. Come on now.
Yeah, no.
Uh, hey, I don't know about you, but a lot of your folks would step into the name of
Oh,
love
a
when it
lot
came
of
to R.
folks
Kelly
were.
song. Come on now,
I've
please.
even done it. I just
I know you did.
it's yeah.
Then Isley Brothers too. Come on now.
That,
To the
yes.
name of love. Do,
Yes.
do. Yeah,
I
well,
I
we love
really
the
like the
Isley
Isley
Brothers, man. He's
Brothers.
still
Yes.
around too. I think he's
I know Ron Isley.
565 years old. Had about 5 facelifts. You look at him, man, he look younger than me.
No, they put him into cryogenics every night.
Yes, the Isley brother cryogenic. Man, that brother, I think he got a lady friend, one that at least shows up that's younger than your daughter, maybe.
Well, if he was, okay,
Yeah, okay, okay.
there that is so easy to do in that
Really?
arena that
Okay.
I don't even, it doesn't even.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on.
Yes,
We'll
thank
move
you,
on.
thank you, thank you, thank
Okay, in
you.
general, whether you're at home, work, or school, public, it's important to stay centered within the what ignored sexual stimulation in situations of people. Keep your eyes to yourself. Basically, it's the same thing about you don't want to go to the gym when you have that problem.
Exactly, exactly.
I do remember the time when we were younger. I won't go into detail. Your brothers remember that. When you go through that transition in life where there's a certain part of your body that seems to have a control all by itself, when the hormones are as high as can be. And it usually happens when you're in high school. So you may be junior high. But for me, it was in high school, early in high school. And you're in a class and you're really not thinking about a lady, even though sometimes it happens. And all of a sudden, that other person that exists down in that area, some women said your other head. Anyway, it begins to want to rise to the occasion, and you're embarrassed as can be. And you just hope the teacher don't ask you to get up and say, "Get up and stand."
Go
And
to the
stand for
board.
something. So I mean,
in
some of
in
us
our days,
went
it
through
was
that
go to
as
the board.
men, young men, and what an embarrassing situation that is. So again, that's another example of one where then you're being young, and when you're older, you got a little more control. Hopefully, you do. Then you want to stay away from that situations.
Yes.
From that end, I mean, some of us who are madly in love with a woman and madly in love with a wife's not mad but madly in love, then you may want to stay away from those little young things because they can also trigger another area that can happen too. So this is all part of that balance. That's what we're really
Yes.
saying. We're talking about a balance. The balance in there is that life force of yours that's in that area of your sensitivity or your sexual energy
Hmm.
that you're learning to expand it. That's what balance in this case is, expanded in different areas that can help you out in life
Right.
from that end. And there's many situations you can think about it. Wife not around, you're in Alaska, you're in another part of the world, or you're busy at work. I mean, there's many times that you want to be able to utilize this in your life balance wise because you have other things to do in life. And of course, you're more than just that in the first place as a being your own self. So
Yes.
those are the things to think about. How about TVs and movies?
They can be just as bad
Oh, yeah.
as anything else, and you
Mhm.
really,
You mean the girly magazines?
the girly magazines, the internet, and
Lingerie?
like now there's all these, you open up Facebook, and the first thing you see is 17 women showing their rear ends and their chests, and they're
Mhm.
half naked, and they're this and they're that, and it's uh, crazy if you ask me, but nobody
Mhm.
asks me.
Okay.
But it's,
I'm not.
it's one of those things that, if when you are at that point, that is when you need to start
Mhm.
veering or transmuting that sexual energy to something else.
Yes.
Shut off the station, you know, go to something else on Facebook, or
Mhm.
pick up a book, or
Hmm.
just there are other things that you
Very,
can
very,
do.
very hard because everything is very sexually orientated
Exactly,
now
exactly.
on TV. I mean, I was looking at this particular ad on Facebook, and they were talking about this certain wearable headset that will allow you to be able to measure how calm your mind is. And they had the model of this beautiful woman who was showing this headset, and what they did through their modeling exposure to draw you to it was make her a sex object. It just was no doubt about it. Not only was I seeing it, but I could tell it because her position every time that she was putting on her just this little thing on her head, she would always cross her legs with the legs wide open. No, excuse me. I mean, what do you call the stance with your legs crossed? I'm not talking about crossed over. I'm
Hmm.
talking about the stance that looks like you're doing meditation.
Oh yeah, the lotus position.
Exactly. And her legs were always crossed wide open. Hands went in front. There was never any thing that would block that. In they made sure she had the tightest what do you call the thing? You hear me talking about it. You can
Leotard
tell I'm
or
looking at tightest leotard.
Mhm.
And what was you could tell it was a actual motivated structural produced commercial that was using her as a sexual object to objectify her to sell this particular I mean,
And it was probably AI.
how do you think about wanted to take something that's supposed to make you calm on your head, and then you show a woman that's looking in such a way that as a man, you ain't gonna think calm. And now today could be a woman who would never be
Yes.
so calm about it
Yes.
whatsoever. We're looking at her as she was sexually, no doubt about it, presented. Because the camera that they were showing her at,
Hmm.
the camera didn't show her head much. The camera was pretty much focused, guess where? In
Where
between where her legs were open.
yes.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck? So
And so that's one of those things where we get a lot of overstimulation, and we're gonna have
yes.
to move through this a lot quicker because
Yeah, yeah,
we
okay. Dress in we right
dress
to
and
the
behave
behavior
modestly,
modifier.
something
Yeah,
that was not happening there.
yeah.
Um, you know,
Flirting. Got to
yes,
get out of that flirting more sometimes. Or in a relationship, we flirt too much.
yes,
I was guilty of that, and so was you. When we first with each other, we were flirting a little bit too much.
yes.
Being, we would say, "Oh, we're being real nice." Well, no, not necessarily.
Mm-mm.
No, not
No,
necessarily.
no.
So that's something that we need to be concerned about. Whether
Yes.
we flirt in this case, and that
Hmm.
energy is there, or someone's flirting with you because they can smell you. No, excuse me,
Yeah.
they can tell from that particular eye contact has a lot to do with how you need to be concerned with. Sometimes eye contact now doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lead any place but to a fight. Like, why are you staring at me?
Yeah, exactly.
From that level. Well, just go on from
But
there.
the
Go ahead.
things that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
you can engage in artistic, cultural, or serviceful activities
Mm-hmm.
to redirect that energy to a higher level.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to get away from the basal sexual energy
Mm-hmm.
only and rise to a higher level
Mm-hmm.
where it is more beneficial, where it makes
That's where
a
the
greater
balance is. The
difference.
balance
Yes.
is you are looking at that. You have a higher vibration, a higher level, a more divine, more humane, part of who you are. And it
Exactly.
doesn't necessarily have to be that your own motivation or your only targeted area of how you can
Hmm.
express yourself is only from a sexual side.
Right.
That is just a little bitty part of you, of who you are as a being, especially in a relationship. That's important too for you to know that. The next one has to do engage in
Mm.
artistical, cultural services and activities was very important. I mean, there are many museums, there are many art places you can go to,
Mm-hmm.
the many art things that you could do yourself.
Yeah.
You don't start an art festival, excuse me, start art practice your own self. Come
Exactly.
down to Unity Community. There's many times down the River Street we have art people down there that could give you some ideas of some
Mhm.
things that you would
Yes.
love to be able to do and start to do.
Yeah.
Right?
There was a time I made dollhouses out of
Mm-hmm.
cardboard, and that was
Mm-hmm.
fun, and that was unique, and very um stimulating
Mm-hmm.
as far as um doing something that was not done before.
Mm.
And so, it's a lot of.
Yeah, we're coming to a very conclusion. This is the last one.
Mhm.
Do you intend to marry? It's very important for you to think about doing yoga and moving that sexual energy, that soul
Mhm.
energy, again,
Yes.
back in you, because you don't want to, if you're trying to do
Yes.
a balanced relationship, start a balanced relationship, you don't want it based on infatuation,
Right.
because that's
Right.
going to cover up things. You'll be looking at things with rosy colored glasses, which is not going to be
Exactly.
good. You want to live creatively. You want to live expansively. You want to, in every area of life, let your spirit, God, or however you
Mhm.
may want to say, your higher self energy to move you and guide you in your relationship. Then you're going to find a much more higher freedom and soul with one another. I
Exactly.
call it being more authentic.
And it's okay to share those experiences
Mm-hmm.
with your partner.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, you want to finish it up because it looks like we're getting near. In fact, we are near.
Well,
Gotta
we
go.
are right there pretty much where we need to be, but that is the end of it. If you want more information, you can
Mm-hmm.
always contact us at TTJT at
Mm-hmm.
takingthejourney-together.com and send us your questions, or find us on Facebook and message us, or whatever, and we'll be more than happy to give you more conversation on it, or
Help you out as life
even
coach
if exactly, that
and
was what I was
relationship
just
coach.
about to
They'll be
say.
able to see a lot when March 24th it was, when we go, or 25th, one of the two, when we do the workshop.
31st.
Or 31st. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Thank you
March
very much.
31st.
At the chalk. Oh, I guess I shouldn't give that away yet.
Not yet.
Next time around. Anyway, take care. God bless. Ashe. In
And we'll see
peace.
you next week.